such an asshole.
So we got a request from Rush, our East Indian agent in the field. He says, "Dear Clary, could you react to a company man talking about the Enron scandal? Sincerely, Rush." I said, "You want video response or like listen and respond?" He said, "Listen, respond." I don't know if we can even do video responses anymore because I put my video, we played our video from that Access Vegas just a little bit, and it got struck down copyright thing. And so I'm awfully reluctant to do video responses, but I guess is the world we live in now. So I watched the video that Rush provided, and it's a quick synopsis. It's if you search Enron scandal, what happened, I'll be the first one that pops up. And the specifics of how Enron basically went bankrupt, how it was fraudulent. There are two main accounting improprieties they did. One, they had improper revenue recognition methods where they'd sign a contract with the example the guy gives in the videos with Blockbuster, if you remember them. And they would say, okay, this contract is for 3 or 5 years. I forget which one it was. And they're expecting to make this amount of revenue over those 3 or 5 years. Well, you know what has to happen? You have to actually make that revenue over the next 3 or 5 years. And what a real accountant would do is you would say, oh, it's the end of year one. We made $40 million in revenue. And then you would recognize the 40 million. They basically just recognize what they thought they would make over those 5 years, all consolidated into year zero, which it didn't overstay. It wasn't like they, oops, we did a mistake. They outright lied. I don't even know why they went through that formality of, well, we have a contract that extends 5 years. We would logically recognize the revenue as it comes in. And there are ways for you to recognize revenue that accounts for time differences. I'm not going to get into concepts like deferred revenue or things like that. There's instances you might have to do this. This was, we're going to put whatever number we want down now to increase our revenue and maybe run it through this contract or these contracts we have to make it look like it's authentic to the auditors of which we're going to get to next. But these revenues were never recognized. Sometimes there was no revenue at all. So they were just blatantly lying, not only about the revenue they would collect, but that they collected it at all in the first place. And it all was collected in year zero. So that was number one. The other thing is they hid their debts. So if you look at a balance sheet, right? Like if you ever apply for a loan, you list all your assets, you list everything you own. Those would be your assets. You list everything you owe. Those are your debts. And then hopefully what you own exceeds what you owe by a significant amount. And that remaining amount is how much equity you have in your house, your car, all your total assets. Companies are the same way. You just tack on a couple more zeros. So Enron had all these assets and it had relatively low debt. And investors like that because you see a company with low debt. You say, well, look at that. They got low debt. That means they don't have a lot of debt payments to make, interest payments to make. Their profits are higher because they don't have as many interest expense. And it's also more stable because if there are bad economic times, they got a lot of extra capital. They got a lot of extra money that they could afford to bide over those bad times because they have very little debt. Well, what they found out is that Enron, as we're going to find out, it's not technically Enron. Well, okay, they're internal accounts. Enron created offshore companies that would hold the debt. So they transfer the debt to those companies. So the parent company, Enron Incorporated, looked to have a really good balance sheet. But little did you know you had all these offshore subsidiaries or companies that had all debts, no assets. When you sum total those up, the balance sheet, which Enron was still responsible for, the balance sheet was way worse than what it seemed before. And the scam and the scandal, you say, well, what does that matter? So they lie and then they inevitably go bankrupt, which did happen. Enron is a publicly traded firm or was a publicly traded firm. And if you did fundamental analysis, like you actually looked at their financial statements, you did a good job analyzing, this is a pretty good company, right? And then you'd be saying, but Cappy, how was I supposed to know that they were lying and cooking the books? Well, you can't talk about Enron without talking about Arthur Andersen. Well, who's this guy? Well, he's dead. He's been dead for quite some time, but he started a company called Arthur Andersen. If you ever tune into me and Chad Elkins at the Elkins Accounting Hour, which I have linked below, we talk about the big four in accounting. These are the four largest accounting firms, probably in the world, but certainly the United States. It's PricewaterhouseCoopers, Lybrand, Deloitte and Touche, Ernst & Young, Pricewaterhouse, Deloitte and Touche, Ernst & Young, and Pete Marwick, KMPG. Are they still around? Is that the one? They all merge with their acronyms and their last names. And then they get down, yo. They get down and serious. And then they just use a one-syllable, one-word name for the entire company. Because it used to be Pete Marwick, KMPG. Now they just call it Pete. And it's not Pete like Peter. It's Pete like Pete Moss. Pete. We're down with Pete, man. I work at the Pete. Or is it just KMPG? I don't remember which. Doesn't matter. Well, there used to be five. There used to be the big five. I was around in those days. And Arthur Andersen was the fifth one. And Arthur Andersen was the undisputed leader. That was of the big five. Arthur Andersen was the biggest one. That was your Goldman Sachs. That's where they had extra small penises. That's where they were extra special. That's where you got to work an extra 80 hours a week. And they also had Andersen Consulting, which was, anyway, but it's inconsequential to the story we're talking about here. And Arthur Andersen Accounting, not the consulting division, the accounting division, they were supposed to be the auditors for Enron. Okay, so you're a large, major publicly traded corporation. Your financial statements have to be accurate and true. And so what you do is you hire an auditor, an independent third-party auditor to come in and audit your financial statements. So you have your internal accountants. Okay, Enron has their own accountants. They're putting together the financial statements, and then they present them to a third-party auditor, typically one of, at the time, big five accounting firms. These guys send in their auditors to audit the financial statements and say, yes, we give it our blessing. There's even if you look at an annual report, there's even a blessing page. They don't call it a blessing page. It's the certification page or whatever. We have a unqualified, which is a good thing. You want an unqualified. That means there are no qualifications or exceptions. Approval of these financial statements. It's always at the end of the annual report. So Arthur Andersen was the independent third-party accounting firm that went in to audit Enron's financial statements. And so in theory, you were supposed to trust them. Oh, well, it's been audited by Arthur Andersen. And oh my God, they're the top accounting firm. Do you know that they have the smallest tits and the smallest dicks? You know they're really good then. Bro. And what ended up happening after 2000 and into 2001, I don't know. I'd be curious, who was the forensic accountant that busted it all? There's that one piece of concrete that breaks from the dam that leads it to the entire thing collapsing. But when you have your auditor basically being bribed and taking bribes, like the audit, and this is what ended up happening. The short version is this. The owners, the executives of Enron wanted to keep the stock price going up so that they could sell, execute options, make money, and get out before the thing collapsed. You say that's awfully short-sighted. Yes, it is. We'll get to that later. A lot of small dicks going on in this story. But with annual reports and quarterly reports coming up that need to be audited, they needed Arthur Andersen to give them a clean bill of health. If Arthur Andersen had any ethics about them, surprise, they didn't, they would say, fuck you, go find another auditor. Which at that point, if you were a large multi-billion-dollar corporation like Enron and Arthur Andersen refused to audit your financial statements or sign off, that would have caused problems right off the bat. But there's this thing called money, right? And if you're a particularly small penis individual and you work at Arthur Andersen, you say, well, I like money. And then what Enron said, we'll give you more if you say we got a good, clean bill of health. They're like, oh, shucks, howdy, boy, God. Yeah. And then they took their little micro dicks and they had a sword fight and they exchanged some money. And then the clean bill of health. Do you remember, maybe this, because this is more recent, though quite some time ago still, do you young people remember when you had the ratings agencies in the buildup to the housing bubble, right? The banks were making all these shit loans. They'd sell them on the secondary market. Investment banks would take these individual mortgages and create mortgage-backed securities. But before they sold them on the market as kind of like mutual funds of mortgages, they had to go and have the ratings agencies analyze and give them a rating, right? So, like what was it? Moody's, Fitch, S&P. If I remember the ratings agencies correctly, they're ratings agencies, right? The whole fucking financial market depends on them to be honest and to do their job. And they rate things like, oh, this is a triple A, or this is a B minus, or this is junk bond, that kind of thing. So what you would do at one of the many firms that rejected me back in the 90s for jobs, what you would do is you would say, well, let's take let's analyze a bunch of the loans that make up the overall portfolio to make sure that these loans are good quality. They didn't do that. Triple A, A plus, or whatever. They have different bond ratings at the different agencies, but it's A, B, C, D, F, that kind of thing. Triple A, my God. Lot of small penises in this world. So then when the mortgages didn't pay, like the people who had held who the homeowners didn't pay, the money wasn't coming in, and the cash flow on these asset-backed securities, mortgage-backed securities weren't matching what they were supposed to, then you had the financial crisis happen. Same thing here. Somebody within Enron, or maybe it was Arthur Andersen, I don't know who, somebody within those two companies must have blown the whistle, or the fraud became so obvious that they were starting to default on their payments. Like Enron wasn't even making money to make the payments on the loans they owed to say, I'm sure they owed money to large financial institutions who said, oh shit, like Chase or Lehman Brothers, which is still around back then. And then those guys said something's wrong. And then they probably went to their brokerage side, said, sell all your Enron shit. And then if you look at the stock price, it started to go down. So I don't know how it came to bear that became public that Enron and Arthur Andersen were scamming, but it did. And then a lot of people who invested in Enron, whether it was individual people, large investors, rich people, or most of all pensions and regular old people invested in their mutual funds or their 401ks and IRAs, they lost all their money that they had invested in Enron. And so that's the story of Enron. But what the more important story here is a lot of you weren't around then, or you weren't adults. I remember Andersen Accounting, or Arthur Andersen. I remember Andersen Consulting. And these were, here I am, like a 21, 22-year-old kid. Oh my God, this is serious shit. This is they are of the big five, they were the best. These were the biggest swinging dicks, right? And I've told you before, don't trust the adults. The adults don't know shit. I thought, oh, they got gray hair. They know what they're doing. They have an MBA. This is Arthur Andersen. This is one of the big five. And between the Enron bubble, WorldCom bubble, also Arthur Andersen, the housing bubble, the education bubble, if there's one thing I could convey to you young people is to understand the adults do not know where you're doing. The president of the United States previously, Joe Biden, he wasn't there. Whether you're Democrat or Republican, even you Democrats have to admit he was not there, right? You cannot trust the gray hairs. I don't care what position of power. You could be the president of the fucking United States, and these guys don't know jack fucking shit. And I should have picked up on that earlier, right? Because, Kenneth Lay, and what's the other one? Skilling, something else. And whoever was in charge of Arthur Andersen. I remember working security. It was the Landmark Center, I believe. And I think Andersen Accounting was there. And here I am. And this is after I graduated. Like, I'm top. Oh, by the way, top graduate Number 5, from the Carlson School of Management, working as a security guard at Andersen Consulting, or the building that was hosting that had Andersen Accounting as a tenant. I wouldn't be picked up by Andersen Accounting. They wouldn't touch me. But I'll take a security guard job position. That's where your Carlson School of Management degree will get you. Anyway, so I was, and then the big collapse happened a couple of years afterwards. And I'm like, oh my God, what happened? How could that was Arthur Andersen. No, you don't understand. All of these corporate douchebags got a 103 IQ. All of them are trying to scam and skim. And I'm not a big conspiracy guy. But the reason you go into business is to make as much money with as least effort as possible, which makes sense, right? But all you wonder why private equity comes in and just tears up the fuck out of your precious restaurants and things you enjoy, because they don't actually want to do the hard work. They want to just cut expenses, temporarily boost profits before they lose all their customer base, and then sell and turn around that company with slightly improved financials before it all goes to pot. These people get by on luck and the fact that we need an infrastructure by which, in this particular industry, to audit everything. But if you go and actually work for these firms, they're assholes. I'm not even talking about the hard work. There's always drama. There's always bullshit. There's always petty crap. I'm going to say it again. It's a popularity competition that has never ended since middle school. It's just now. You wonder why corporate executives make dumb decisions. Like, why would you do that? Why would you insist DEI or ESG, Larry Fink? Because it's popular. It's popular. And because you're in a large organization, being popular does service well in terms of getting promoted, because you have to get along and play along to make profit. Compliance is more important than performance in large corporations. But that doesn't mean you have the smartest, let alone the most ethical people. You have people that will do anything for popularity. And a lot of times these guys will engage in fraud because, dude, the guys that were in charge of Enron, what, you think they didn't make enough money just based on their salary? They were already rich, but they had to make more. And they would go so far. You say, well, why would they lie? Why would you do that? That's so short-term and so short-sighted. Why would they do that? Because they wanted to be popular. They had to be the biggest bro ever. That dude broed on that block. This is why they all got micro dicks. This is why they do not graduate from high school. It never ends. It just gets more expensive. And so when you see Enron and Arthur Andersen complicit in this, what the lesson you should take from it is now, okay, there's greedy scumbag capitalists. That's not it. Although, I mean, yes, there's certainly that too. You got to remember, Arthur Andersen was the best. They were the top. I don't give a fuck who's the top. I don't like Harvard. Let me give you another example. Like, remember when you thought Harvard was the big shiznit? Harvard is filled with idiots. Last year, they had the president have to resign in shame because she got busted. Surprise, black female affirmative action hire, because she got busted for plagiarism, I think, or academic fraud or something like that. They didn't even fire her. She's still there. These I don't care what their legacy is, how big they are, what their number one rank is. It's all fucking popularity now. There is no performance. There's only popularity. And do not fall for it. This is why me and Chad strongly discourage young aspiring accountants into going into the Big Four, because it's not worth it. The Big Four, to give you an example, all the fancy shiny bills, we're the Big Four, we're the biggest dicks on the block. It's so bad working there because they take advantage of their reputation, which is dwindling, by the way. Come on downtown. You want to be a girl boss, right? You want to be a dude bro. Yeah. And they just squeeze the ever-living fuck of the labor out of you. 100-hour work weeks, drama, outsourced into overseas. It becomes a nightmarish little political popularity party game in middle school. It's so bad, though, that we've had people, we say, go to H&R Block, go to Jackson Hewitt, go to Intuit, which apparently is a very good company now. Just do people's taxes. Make your $15 or $20 an hour. Get experience at doing taxes. Go get your enrolled agent thing, or get a degree and go get your CPA or whatever, and then open up your own practice. And not only is that less hours and less education, it's more money, certainly per hour, and nowhere near the stress or the bullshit. Because I think these, and to a larger extent, this is what I, to look forward, right? One, you need to recognize no matter how big, Goldman Sachs, fuck you. All right. Morgan Stanley, fuck you. Bain, McKinsey, fuck you. You guys aren't meritocratic. I think McKinsey was the one that came out. Here's our report that says diversity is good for the economy. Ha, that one go. McKinsey. I do want to get that report and look it up. I do want to get that and look it up. I don't care how big they are, or they are invariably corrupted by popularity and conformist philosophies. And that is breeding grounds for people that they'll go right up to that limit of legality. Some will go past because they just have to. Because they need the bigger boat, bro. Whatever the fuck it is, small penis individuals do. But going forward, and you can see this now, these premier institutions, whether it's a school, a company, or a government position, or industries like Hollywood, they're nowhere near. They have nowhere near the reputation they used to. And young people are starting to wake up and realize that. Young people are starting to realize, yeah, I'm not going to go live in New York. I'm not going to go live in LA and try to make it. I'm not paying that much in rent. You're paying me in what? To work how many hours? They're waking up. Because a lot of these institutions relied on their prestige to get you to apply for them and lower your salary and become obedient. Because you thought somewhere, okay, now I'm at the best and this is the best, so it's going to be more efficient. And then someday I will go and make, you know what I mean? Maybe didn't even want to become CEO. You just want to get a stable job, work really hard and become the best, right? Then you realize, okay, they may be the best firm, the best in the industry, but the proposition they're giving you for employment is just not worth it. And a lot of times they're just corrupt fucks, and sometimes they're going to get busted. Like Delta, right? Let's take it. You're starting to see the cracks form here, kids. Delta was more or less the premier American airline, right? Until they did popular thing. They hired a bunch of DEI pilots, apparently, and it has yet to be determined if it was the guy or the gal that flew and landed the plane upside down. Delta, please tell us the findings of your investigations. Let us know. I'm not flying Delta. I forget. Beforehand, I was like, oh, yeah, Delta, you know, it's a little bit nicer. Sure. I didn't search for Delta. I just go with the cheapest flight that I can get a seat relatively up front. I'm still, unless I'm flying overseas, I'm like, dude, you can't sit. Oh, Spirit's horrible. Spirit is great. For $50, you can fly me across the country. If I fly at 2 a.m., sign me up for that shit all day. I'll be inconvenienced for 3 hours. But now I won't go near Delta. If it's like the best price, no. No. I like to land. This is how I like to land, like that. I don't know about you. I like to be this direction the entire length of the flight. Maybe I'm just a bigot or a discriminatory person. I don't know. I like life. You choose life over a female pilot? Yes. I'm the same one in this conversation. You're wrong. But yeah, like, I'm wondering how many people want to go work for Delta right now. Huh? What happened? Ooh. People aren't hiring from Harvard or Yale, except for the dwindling percentage of blue blood dick suckers over on the East Coast. And even that's starting to dwindle off. No one's going to work for Hollywood. They're all becoming online influencers. And a lot of it has to do with the corrupt people that inevitably make their way to the top in these corporations, many of which fail. And so if you think these institutions have their shit together, like I once did with Arthur Andersen, or Andersen Consulting, that was a consulting arm, you're wrong. They're not better than you. They're not smarter than you. I mean, unless you're an absolute idiot. But don't be intimidated by the, like, oh my God, I'm going to interview with Pete. I'm going to interview with Pete Marwick. Dude, I'd be just as, really, I wouldn't be intimidated at all because of what they're going to ask you or ask of you and the hellish nightmare it is going to be working there, because it's no better than working at H&R Block. And here's the other thing. It's no worse for your career. It's no better for your career to work at the Big Four, especially if you're self-employed. So I think the sheen is gone. The cat's out of the bag. It took large debacles like this, even though this was like 25 years ago. But you're seeing these old timey guys, President Biden, they don't know what the fuck they're doing. And I think for younger people, especially since you've been lied to other things by older people in the generation that rhymes with loomer, I think a lot of you are rightly awfully suspicious and distrusting and skeptical about, am I gonna, oh boy, do I get to work for Lehman Brothers? You're like Sully Totes oh wait, you went bankrupt. Oh, bye-bye. So yeah, I think the younger generation is getting a little bit more hip to the jive on this one. I think they're getting a little more street smart on it. And Arthur Andersen and Enron are just an example of that. Now, link below. I know a lot of you, but Big Four, bro. Shh. I got a better proposition for you. Okay. Before you spend 6 years in college education for an undergrad and a master's degree and a $100,000 degree on an MBA like Chad Elkins did, all right, why don't you, if you want to become an accountant, why don't you take the course link below called The World's Greatest Accounting Career, available on Teachable, where me and Chad have put together an accounting career path course. It's $150. And what it does is it shows you how to become gainfully employed, self-employed, and remotely employed if you choose that path, or traditionally employed if you choose that path, as quickly, cheaply, and efficiently as possible. So you're not going 6 years to school, dropping $150,000 on a degree. You're going to Western Governors University on the cheap, or you're just self-educating and self-certifying with an enrolled agent's exam. There are many options for you to become an accountant. Working for the Big Four, bro, I'm sorry. Well, here's what you need to do, okay? First, go out in the garage or wherever it is and get yourself a ruler. Second, drop your pants. Third, measure your dick. If your dick is longer than an inch, you cannot work at the Big Four, okay? You're too big a swinging dick. You need a microscopic penis to work at the Big Four. Girls, for you, it's the water displacement method. Okay, so you take your boobies, you put them in the thing, and if it's more than 3 milliliters of water displacement, your boobs are too big. You're too pretty to work over there. All right, go work anywhere else but the Big Four. Anywhere else, if you want to be self-employed, if you want to be a corporate bro, if you want to work 100 hours a week, you want to deal with fucking petty school. You already went to middle school and high school. If you would like that environment to continue, except instead of going to school for 7 hours a day, you're there for 12 to 16 hours a day. If you would like that world of popularity to continue, by all means, go work in corpo America. But I think the future for you young people is to just look at what the leaders of American industry have done the past 30 years and say, fuck it, I'm out, and go live and enjoy life instead. And it starts with the world's greatest accounting career. You too can work from a beach, answering to no one. Become an accountant like Chad Elkins today. The world's greatest accounting career. Available at teachable.com or link below. Go to the super chats. Cyberbully, $10. Used to caddy for a former Enron exec. Really? He was pure dark triad and level 100 charisma. Had a Korean supermodel wife. Boutique firms loved his Enron background, but kept his employment under wraps. Yep. They're just they are the most popular people. I cannot emphasize that enough. They are the most popular people. They are not the smartest and they are not the best. Femboy Fantasia. Oh, new picture, eh? $5. It is believed that there were implicit threats for not going along with DEI. However, falling for that is short-term thinking. Yes, popular. You don't do what's right. You do what's popular. That's it. That's it. And that's why Larry Fink went with the DEI. I also think Larry Fink being a Democrat. He hates white people, including himself. He hates America. He hates capitalism, but he likes money. So I think he was all for it philosophically. But yeah, you come and wait, we're going to hire someone just because of their whatever gender or color or skin or whatever else, but they don't have the skills and the ability. Or you take it to an insane level like Target did, where this is our brand. Look at all the fat mannequins we got. Look at all the gay shit we have. We're saying you want to buy a roll of toilet paper because we're gay. I don't care. What's the price of the toilet paper? You don't care that's gay toilet paper? No, not really. Why do you hate gay people? I don't hate gay people. I just want to know, what's the price of the toilet paper? You like black people, don't you? I don't have a fetish, but yeah, sure. Well, we have a black model over here. Yeah, but she's missing an arm. I don't want to buy your lingerie now. Well, you hate black women. No, I just quite genetically, I don't want to have sex with a woman missing an arm. It has nothing to do with, I can't believe you're a racist. Yeah, I'm never buying your lingerie again for my girlfriend. Goodbye. Yeah, it's a perfect example of I can't say it because it's the S word. Teenage don't do it. From the movie Heathers, how obscure is that? In the movie, it was a popular thing to end yourself prematurely. That's what the fad was. And DEI is kind of like that. It's just going to cost you money. It's going to cost you half of your audience, half your clientele. Fitigy, did I pronounce it right? €2. Muffler money. Yes, muffler money. I don't know what the price is going to be. He said it was going to be like $150 or something. So I think we have raised enough super chats for the muffler money. We'll be going on to, I got gas yesterday. These are fun, sexy things I buy with the super chats. Let me tell you. It's like middle-aged old man stuff. I need a good lawnmower. I need some more shelving. What do old men buy? What am I going to buy? I need a new water pump. I already bought another water pump, so I'm good to go when the old one dies. Magnum Opus, $5. I'm from New York. No reason to live there unless you ever enjoy being a dirty, expensive city full of rats. And I don't mean the pest. Yeah, why would you? Right. You see, you've seen it, Magnum. If you're from there, you've seen New York go from probably what was the peak days in the 90s under Republican Rudy Giuliani, where you had Sex in the City and was glorious, to now where it's like, oh, you arrest Daniel Penny? Huh? LA, I remember in the 80s, LA, all the movies were about LA. LA cops and LA this and LA this, that. Big Trouble in Little China. Oh, LA. Oh, you want to go where all the people with the mullets and the girls in the bikinis are? Yeah, I do. Look at it now. It's over. You lost your reputation. Wall Street, who the fuck working on Wall? Harvard, Yale, get the fuck out of here. DJ Aftershock, $5. Big ballers, bro. Downtown sushi on me this weekend, bro. We're totally going to make those big checks using our new innovative accounting strategies, bro. That's why I wondered about that. Where, okay, so you bust your ass off and then you go to the bar culture, right? There's always that bar down the street. Happy hour, bro. I can understand kicking back, having a cocktail, right? Wouldn't you inevitably want to go home? No, you got to keep on partying, bro. For what? Maybe you get the girl. I understand why those investment banker types or Elliot Spitzer, the bigwig former attorney general. Am I remembering that correctly? I don't want to accuse this person of renting a lady of the evening. He just rented high-end escorts. I'm like, yeah, I get that. If I was the big-time guy and didn't have time, I'm not going to go to a bar. Hey, how you doing? Oh, I'm a big deal over at Goldman Sachs. Don't ask me about my 1-inch penis. Oh, yeah, man, I'm over at Morgan Stanley. We call it the stand. I put in 90 hours, bro. Yeah, bro. Pretty big deal. I'm going to bed. Going home. Saving my money. Get the fuck out of this Democrat, trash-strewn shithole. Fitigi, 5 European euros. The super chats will continue until pronunciation improves. Well, then why do I have it? Fintoji? Until pronunciation. I thought I improved upon it. All right. That's it. What do I got? Oh, link below is the world's greatest accounting career. Guys, just look, man. Hear me out. Wouldn't it be nicer instead of the downtown where all the action is, whether that's San Francisco, LA, Houston, Miami? Wouldn't it be nice to be working from home little cabin with a patio that looks over a little lake, right? That you could buy and afford in the middle of Missouri. The winters don't get too cold. Summers don't get too hot. You get to ride your bike around the Ozarks. Wouldn't that be nice? You wake up, there's no commute. You just go out there with your laptop, type. That's what we're trying to get you with that world's greatest accounting career. But if you want to go $100,000 into debt for your MBA, brah, chickens and wings, brah, and go work for the micro dicks over at the Big Four for 100 hours a week and not get I got some insiders from the Big Four, and they're like, dude, there's some fucked up shit going on with the interns. Like, okay, what's going on? And they're outsourcing shit. Like, no. Why would you jump on that sinking ship? Why? Make partner, bro. Well, let them be partner. It's not worth your life. I said it. Being a partner at the Big Four isn't worth your life. You guys who made partner at the Big Four, you chose wrong. Wrong. You're wrong. We got more money, bro. Good for you. Go look at my Instagram account and see what I've been doing while you've been working on, bro. Oh, by the way, Kenneth Lay died at 64. Think of a heart attack from all the stress. Look at all that money. He didn't even make it to jail. The thing was said, but so he died at 64. I'm going to be fucking good-looking women when I'm 70, just so you know. You guys have fun. I guess if you guys got that money, you could afford the pretty women. You got me there. That's if you make it to 70. All right. See you guys later, Toodles.